Brazil's Supreme Court began deliberations Thursday into what some are calling the largest political corruption case in the country's history. The scandal could tarnish the legacy of former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and the ruling party. Prosecutors are looking to convict as many as 38 former officials and associates, several of whom were senior aides to the president at the time. The trial is expected to last at least a month. Joining me now for more is Paulo, Sotero, the director of the Brazil Institute of the Wilson Center. And let's begin with this case. I mean, the scope of this, I just saw some of the documents in the courtroom. It's just, they're piled high, obviously a huge paper trail. And a lot of it leads back to the chief of staff to the president. What can you tell us about his role, and can you kind of walk us through exactly what was going on?
Well, he was the masterminder of President Lula's election in 2002 in Brazil. Lula had run 3 times before, lost. José Dirceu, his name, had very important role. He was the chief of staff, a prime minister of sorts, and he was caught in this process of corrupting or basically paying members of Congress to vote the party line. And this provoked a reaction. The president separated himself from the scandal and, very popular, protected his image by firing Mr. Dirceu, who was subsequently expelled from Congress. He was a member of Congress. Other 37 people were indicted, and it took a while. We are not used in Brazil of criminal prosecution on cases of corruption. So there is enormous expectations, enormous pressure from a society that has for 30 years democratized, that is asking the Supreme Court to really consider this very seriously. Hopefully this is the beginning of the end of impunity of people in high places in Brazil.
This is obviously an enormous case, as you're pointing out, and there's also a legacy at stake here, because this was a rather popular, beloved president who had actually helped a lot of people out of poverty. What is this going to do to his image, and how is he viewing this? Is he trying to distance himself, or is he acting as it's not that important? Or
President Lula's place in Brazilian history is assured. It's a good place, but depending on the verdict and depending on how he behaves, he could be tarnished, as the introductory, as you said initially. He could, if there is a guilt verdict, especially in the case of former minister José Dirceu, he could say that, well, he was, he was not aware. And people in Brazil would accept, because President Lula is beloved by the Brazilian people. He was a very positive person as president, the first man of the people in a very unequal society to lead the country. And he led the country well. He can also opt, as he did more recently, to associate himself with the case. In which case, I think there would be damage to his political clout and to his political legacy.
It's certainly something we're going to keep our eyes on. Thank you so much for coming in and offering your insights this evening.
A pleasure.
Appreciate it.